Welcome back to The Corp. It is week 4. This episode, Jim Cramer. Wow, he's got a lot of energy.
I love him.
That's all I got. That's awesome. What I wrote down. Energy. I was trying to remember it. And I was like, oh, wait. Yeah, he's the guy who, when you're around him, you're around him. Mm-hmm. And it feels like that. And I thought more than anything he says, having that energy and being around people where they command the room and you can just tell, hey, that's that guy. That's what Jim Cramer is like.
He is the epitome of grit and discipline. Harvard Law, from Philadelphia, gritty. But you can see why this guy is so successful. He is the epitome of passion. And he's a huge Phillies fan. Mm-hmm. And he's just awesome. He wakes up every day at 4 in the morning, works out every day, grinds it out.
Yeah, he does. And I still don't understand how the stock market works. I said that to him, and I will stand by it. But my question for you is, what was the first stock you bought? So the first one that you were like, okay. And don't say I bought Apple at like $4, because then I'll hate you.
No. I would hate myself. Okay. Honestly, it was probably like American Airlines. And the reason why is one of the folks that I looked up to was a guy by the name of Armando Codina. He's out of Miami, Cuban, and just sat on many boards. I believe American Airlines was one of them. And I thought that was cool. So I didn't know much about stocks. So I said, if Armando likes it, it's good for him. It's good for me.
Yeah. So would you say you have a diversified portfolio? Are you playing the market?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it is, I wouldn't say overly diversified. I think one of the things is, if you over diversify, is also a lack of conviction. Mm-hmm. I like more narrow and deep approach. I like the S&P 500 and just really holding those for a lifetime. And then I have what I call the A-Rod bucket, which you want to hear what's on my A-Rod bucket?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let me tell you about LinkedIn first.
Okay. Our friends from LinkedIn, we're hiring. Barstool,
A-Rod
you're
Corp,
hiring.
yeah.
The Corp is hiring. So you need to get on LinkedIn because we won't find you unless you're on LinkedIn. And A-Rod, we've talked about this, but as people who I don't own a business, I have a stake in Barstool, so I do, I guess, would be a part owner. But when you're looking for new employees, you have to get the biggest pool of candidates possible. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're doing yourself a disservice. I'm sure you've had hiring nightmares.
Yep.
Don't say me. But you have.
Company included.
Yes, you have had hiring nightmares where you hire the wrong person because maybe you didn't look in the right pool or go through enough candidates. And that's why LinkedIn is so great, because they have 600 million members that visit LinkedIn to connect, learn, and grow as professionals. If you have a business and you're not using LinkedIn, you're doing yourself a disservice.
At the Corp, we say hire slow, fire fast. We never make a hire without looking at LinkedIn.
Yes. So there you go. So if you want a job at the Corp, if you want to, if you have a business and you want to hire someone who is well qualified, and like you said, that's a great saying, hire slow, fire fast. Hire slow means you got to post your job on LinkedIn and you got to look through all those candidates. And the best way to do it, like I said, LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can pay what you want, and the first $50 on them. So if you have a business, just visit linkedin.com/thecorp. Again, that's linkedin.com/thecorp to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions apply, but that is a great deal, because if you're looking for a candidate, we're going to do it right now with a new Barstool job. You got to be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn.com/thecorp, and you get $50 off, $50 on LinkedIn right when you post your first job. So check them out. If you want a job, get on LinkedIn. If you want to find someone who wants a job, get on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has it all. 600 million members.
And Dan, for our young listeners, update your resumes.
Yes.
It's very important.
And network.
Yes.
That's the best part about LinkedIn. If you go on there, the tools that they have now where you can connect with people who might be outside of your little pool of friends and coworkers, that's the best way. I'm sure you've seen it. You've hired people on recommendations. I definitely have, where I find people because someone told me about them or I've networked up a level. A perfect example is Brian Axelrod and Ron Berkowitz, our friend. I got to you through them.
That's
That's
right.
connecting.
Yeah.
So you got to do it. LinkedIn's the best way to do it. So check them out. Our great sponsor, linkedin.com/thecorp.
All right. So now that we're back from LinkedIn, here it is, Dan. Do you have a pen? All right. Good.
Yes, I do. You stole my pen.
In my bucket is Amazon,
Okay.
is Google,
Okay.
is Facebook.
Yep.
I have Berkshire Hathaway.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sold my entire position from Netflix.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You did. You got off that position.
I'm scared that Bob Iger just came out earnings, $8 billion net profit. Disney's on fire. Bob Iger obviously bought that big acquisition from Fox, north of $60 billion. And he is coming for Netflix. And you never want to get in Disney or Bob Iger's way.
Interesting. Okay, that's a good tip for people. Since we're talking about stocks, I offered this to Mark Cuban 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm going to offer it to you here now. I'm probably worth more since that point. I've got more Twitter followers, the things that people really care about. I offered him 10% of my brain for $1 million. I will offer you 10% of my brain for $5 million cash right now. Think about this, though. I know you're going to say no, but think about it. You can get 10% of all my ideas, everything I think of, all the new things I have, for a small investment of $5 million up front.
Okay, let me think about it. No.
Oh, come on. Don't say no. Someday I gotta change my strategy. Maybe I gotta ask for like $100 million. Just blow it away. Just be like, hey, come on. Let me get a yacht.
I'll tell you what I would buy is I would buy your stake in Barstool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can talk. Now I would sell you that.
Now that's going to be, I'm calling it right now. If I can buy Barstool stock, I would buy it today, even though it's not available.
Yep.
And I believe this will be a multi-billion-dollar enterprise in a very short while. So, Dan, you're very rich. You just don't even know it yet.
I'm not rich yet, but I will sell you all my stock right now for cash. Cash.
All right.
Cash.
Let's make
You
a
just
deal.
show
Let's
up
make
with
a
a
deal.
big briefcase and you get all my equity in Barstool. Okay, so there's a stock tip. Another stock tip from me, which I don't know how the stock market works.
And now, Jim Cramer.
You're listening to The Corp, presented by Barstool Sports.
Okay, we are here in Brooklyn at the Longshoreman with our guest, Jim Cramer, who is the host of Mad Money on MSNBC. He also owns this bar.
I own half.
You own half.
Yeah,
Lisa
with Michelle-
owns the other half.
Yes,
Yeah.
my wife, Michelle Ewan, who's our unbelievable chef. Tell her.
Founded the street. We're here to talk to you about your career, everything you've got going on. I want to start with the bar and the restaurant. So you own half of it. What made you get into this before? Because we got to set the scene for the people while we're sitting here.
Sure. Well, we started with Bar San Miguel, which is our small plate Mexican place that's modeled after a bar that is in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. We have a house there. It was just too much fun. We happen to love Florence. Michelle Ewan is a great chef. My wife, Lisa, loves to run the front. We think it's great joy. Put a lot of people to work. This is Florentine. I happen to love Florentine, but you can see it's this a little nicer.
Yep.
Our other place is a tavern, and I like to be with people because remember, all I do is stare at the camera. And look, you know how solo it is at the plate.
Yep.
Okay, you know how solo it is. I do talk to no one, and suddenly what happens is I talk to people, and I love it. And by the way, the millennials have not a clue who I am.
Yep.
Because they're stupid as wood.
Well, that's me, so you can say
I'm
that
sorry.
to my face.
I meant plywood.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
a higher form of
we're going to get to that and the stock market and millennials and how everyone views it. But let's start at the beginning. Okay. So I was doing a lot of reading up on your beginning. You started your first job was at a baseball stadium.
Yeah, I killed it. I started with Coke, okay? And, it's good. And I had the record for a doubleheader against the Cardinals. It was really great. When they go extra innings, you're going to crush it, okay?
Yeah.
Steve Carlton, you always had too much ice cream left. I moved up to ice cream. Now, get this. This is the way you play, okay? It's about monopoly. Okay. Early on, you realize it's monopoly. I paid every other vendor not to go up to the 700 level.
Wow.
I was the only ice cream
How much?
guy. I give him $1. Nobody visits. I'm clean. I'm making $40, $50, except for, again, Carlton, too quickly. And that was the secret. The secret was to pay off the other guys to stay away from my deck.
Interesting.
Right. And they take for a little bucks. They'll say, hey, Jim's got the 700.
Yeah,
700.
less work.
Right. I mean, and that's how I learned to call people on the show. Hey, Skip. Hey, Chief. They chiefed me all the time. I was always chief.
Chief, that's right.
So I chief people. And I think it's a term of endearment.
So, Jim, talking about the Phillies, were you, and I'm trying to picture you, I didn't know you were such a great baseball fan. Were you Mike Schmidt, Pete Rose, Steve
Schmitty,
Carlton?
Total Schmitty. When Schmitty had 3 home runs and then he struck out from the 4th time, I didn't boo. That's not my scene.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
So you're not a true Philadelphian.
Look,
Santa
You
Claus.
threw batteries at him.
Santa
instead.
had a goddamn bad year. Everyone thinks that Santa was innocent. You see his numbers? Come on. I mean, and I didn't throw it because I couldn't get that far. I mean, I would have hit somebody. Probably a nice fan. We have a lot of nice fans. That's why we had the jail to separate the nice fans from the not nice fans.
Yep.
I think that's what's needed. But I love Schmitty. I loved Carlton, but the games didn't last long enough. And we were one of those teams where he won half the games. I mean, that's pathetic, right? I led a Wildcat strike, which was brilliant because it fired all of us. Then you had to reapply.
All right, so your first job, obviously in baseball, I thought it was just a cool story to share with everyone. What was the first stock you bought, and how old were you?
I bought American Agronomics at 27. It was an Orange Grove company. Within 5 days, they had a frost wiped it out.
Okay.
How
old were you?
I was 27.
Okay,
and it was
27.
A
Got
learning
it.
lesson.
Yeah.
Learning lesson that oranges freeze.
Yeah. So tell us though how you got into the stock market. You obviously you went to Harvard, you went to law school,
right?
And you started selling stocks.
That was
on
the
your,
Goldman,
on
but
your
the next
answering machine.
The voicemail, yeah.
Well, what happened is, hey, I'm not here right now, but you ought to buy Monolithic Memories. And each week I had a new stock. Then finally I had a guy who made a fortune on it. He called me, gave me a check for $500,000. He'll meet you for a cup of coffee. Here's $500,000. I said, $500,000, that's a lot of money. And, the first thing I did was I lost like 30,000 of it. And I said, listen, I can mow lawns. I can do dishes because, your first sensitivity is when you lose money. But then I came back with a vengeance, started doing the right thing, started watching TV with the ticker. I had to go to law school, unfortunately. It's a major loss of time. Times suck. But I was picking stocks in the energy machine. And then I went to a Goldman Sachs meeting and Goldman hired me. And it was not easy. I had to go 10 times before I got the job.
So, lawyer at Goldman Sachs, tell me the lessons that you learned at Goldman Sachs.
Well, what they did was they shifted me from law to sales and trading. The lessons were rigor. Okay, the rigor that you needed was incredible. Just to get the job, one time they called me down. It was at 12 o'clock. They said, "Look, sit in this closet of an office, and we'll get to you when we're ready to interview you." At 5 o'clock, I came out. I opened the door. There was nobody there. Everyone had left. So I called the guy who was running the program. He goes, "Hey, it's Goldman Sachs. That's what we do." I said, "You leave a guy in for 5 hours?" He goes, "Hey, did I say it was easy to get a job?" They bring that kind of, let's say, humiliation/expertise, and I like it. I did the same thing. When I was teaching there, I taught Friday, and I didn't like to start till 8 p.m. Friday. And what I did is I gave a test at 11 p.m., and I always posted on Monday the 5 lowest scores in the people's name.
Wow.
Because it's a learning lesson.
You are from Philly.
Oh, yeah, completely. That's a Philadelphia
Tough.
thing, right?
I love it. I love it.
Hard Scrabble.
So you start there, and then you go out on your own hedge fund.
Yeah.
And talk to us about the transition going from Goldman Sachs to, okay, I can go do this on my own. I can do this with some partners and try to make it on my own.
First thing I learned was you can't choke people when you're at Goldman. You can't throw water bottles at them.
You had a famous temper.
I had a bit of a temper. I would say that I would say that I was volatile, maybe mercurial, judgmental.
Okay.
But if you lost me money, I mean, I did. There was one time when I called a guy's mom, and I said, "Listen, your son is unacceptable behavior, and I'm going to send him home, and he needs to know from mommy tomorrow if he wants to come back to work."
This is a grown man.
Very grown. He quit the next day, and that means you didn't have to pay severance.
Jim was like the Paul O'Neill with a cooler.
One time I was having
I
a bad
lost
day.
money.
It was a bad day. The market was getting crushed. I'm looking at my wife. She doesn't like these stories. That's Lisa.
We
the
love
market
them,
was
Lisa.
getting crushed, and I was doing well. I could not believe how well. Market's down 200, 300. I said, "Look at my stocks. They're holding in." Turned out that my monitor was broken. Same prices. So I had to throw that at the window. Now, it's amazing. They made the window so you can't commit suicide because of 29. But yeah, I was
the-
volatile.
the-
But
the
in the
computer
end,
bounced back at you?
yes, indeed, it hurt my feet. But I was a sweetheart in the end because I always paid people well. I was the devil and then the sweetheart. You know, people care about. It was a devil bargain. You made a bargain with the devil if you worked for me, and everybody kind of liked me.
The gift and the curse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're at the hedge fund. You start also the street.
Yeah.
Like what makes you want to do that? You're killing it. You're crushing. You're making money. Why would you want to add more things to your plate?
Well, first, I'm a first-class masochist.
Okay.
And what I did was I had helped start Smart Money, and I realized that the web was coming in 1995. So I said, listen, why don't we do smartmoney.com? And Smart Money said, well, that'll wipe us out. I said, well, that's perfect. That's what it's supposed to do. And then I decided to do it for myself just because I didn't like being talked to like that. And I started it, and we lost a lot of money. But we finally, we lost about 125 mil, trying to set a record, right? I mean, didn't some players for the Mets lost about 125 million? I did it with a company.
Okay.
But we
Wait, how did you lose 125 mil?
easily.
Yeah, like what? Walk me through that.
Well, what happens is that when you, let's say you lose like $10 million a year because you're not selling as much advertising, it tends to accumulate over time.
Yeah.
And you're paying people a lot, but we had a lot of eyeballs. See, we were like an optician. Like we were losing money, but ophthalmologists, but we had the eyeballs. And so people wanted us, we were hot stock. We opened at 62, went to 67, next stop $2. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. But we held in. I mean, we were one of only about a half dozen companies that survived that period, 1999, 2000.
Pets.com.
It's because I have stick.
Yeah.
So,
.com.
Jim, going
I had
back-
stick-to-itiveness.
You opened Kramer and Company hedge fund
Yeah.
in 1987.
Exactly.
Tell me how big was the fund? How much money of your capital did you have?
Okay,
in it?
I had 100% of my capital, and then 10% of it was my dad's because I didn't have enough. And then it was about 50 million, and then ultimately I took it to 600 million. And then I retired in 2000. I weighed about 30 pounds more than I do now. I was troubled.
How many hours were you sleeping a night?
I slept till 2:30. I never slept past 2:30 because the bad guys sleep till 3:30. Now, see, the problem is I can never really identify the bad guys, but you know who they are. And I like to get up an hour before then so that I never let anybody beat me.
Was that for the London markets?
I loved trading in Japan. I loved trading in London. Japan was really important back then because what would happen is the Japanese would say, listen, tonight we're taking up Tokyo Electronic. So, well, I want to be there. And then the next day they said, we're taking up Tokyo Rail because the Tokyo market was totally rigged, but it was bigger than the United States market back then. But I traded aggressively between 2:30 and 4:30 in my pajamas.
Wow. Jim, so
In my Dr. Denton's.
That's crazy.
87, to raise the $50 or $60 million, what kind of LPs did you have, and how long did it take you?
That's a
for
great
your-
question. I had a couple people who were behind me when I was at Goldman. And then there were other people I cold called. There were fabulous people. There were people who just wanted to listen. And I told them that I had all my money in it, which was really important. I told them to follow me. It was 87. The market crashed. I had no money in the market for the crash. And that's what I became famous for, was that I had sold everything the week before. And after that, I carried around what was called my run to show that here's where I positioned the week before. And I could present well. I was able to curtail my temper during that. The temper was really just about someone making a mistake. It was
Right.
mostly me. And I used to have a lot of spare keyboards because I love to hit the keyboard with the phone. The Q's flying, the W's flying, the E's flying, the R's flying. Girls, the women picking them out, the keys out of their hair and stuff. New keyboard. But it's an intense business. And if you don't match it with the intensity, then you should get out.
Yeah. So you sold all your stocks before the crash in 1987. Now, was that luck?
Premonition.
Okay.
Yep. Helped by, in pure candor, Lisa hold your ears, my ex-wife, Karen, who was a genius in stocks. And she said, listen, I don't like the market. Got to be honest.
Yeah.
That's my way.
Okay. So tell me this then.
Great. Sounds like David Geffen and Sam Zell timing.
David Geffen
Yeah.
was a partner.
You have a little bit.
David Geffen was
Look at that.
So tell me this then. Obviously, the same thing didn't happen when it crashed in 2008.
2008 was I wasn't in. I did go nuts on TV, and I
Right.
said, they know nothing about the Fed. They know nothing. The problem with that is I was a TV person, and a TV person doesn't really get a lot of, a TV person is always going to be laughed at. If I had been a fund manager, it would have been more potent, but I was a fund manager previously, so I think that I should have been more listened to. But when I looked at the Fed minutes that came out 5 years later, they admitted to mentioning me, and then it says laugh. You know, there's a laugh with the friends, like, okay, well,
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
my best.
Right.
I did my best.
So the transition from you retire from your hedge fund, was that because you weren't enjoying it, or
I wasn't enjoying it. I felt it was not worth it. There were a couple things that happened that were signals that it was time to go. My partner at the time, Jeff, said to me in the middle of the day, he said, listen, I got to go to see my daughters play. And I said, she is going to be in 1 million plays, God damn it. This is the day that Intel reports. And that, in retrospect, was a sign. That was a sign that perhaps I'd gone too far. Because, you know, you should go to the plays. Right. Then there were some other people. There was a guy, Todd. He came in late, which was 6, you have to come in after 6 a.m. And I just tell you to go home. What are you coming in after 6 a.m.? You come in at 6. Boom, the water bottle, back of the head.
Boom,
that was
yes.
probably a mistake. But what an arm.
Your
arm.
I had an arm then.
Talking about your arm.
Now, I am not making myself look good. And I am conscious of the fact there are people around here who want me to look good, but that is
No, you're being
who I
honest,
was.
yeah.
That's who I was. And the reason I say that's who I was because I became a kinder, gentler guy. And I think it's important to try to distinguish between that guy who did not meet Lisa, who is the front office here, and did not know what life could be like. I was tortured. And I'm not tortured anymore, so I can be. I was the most sincerely insincere man in North America back then, but I think now I'm a go along, get along fella.
First of all, so Lisa, who's sitting over here, is one of the best brokers in New York City.
She does good in real estate.
World class. Now, my question
Thank you for that.
yes, of course. My question to you is: you look like a regular guy. You look like a guy that would just be hanging out at Yankee Stadium or. You know,
For $1,000 or for
Veteran Stadium.
We play at Citizens. It's like $17 for a front row seat.
But
not anymore.
But
It was a price.
If I didn't know you, I would have never guessed Harvard undergrad, Harvard Law. You just seem like one of the people's person.
Well, I didn't grow up with a lot of means.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to be like one of those guys who said I was a pauper because we had a 3-bedroom house and. I went to a decent public school, but I'm that guy. And when I joined the media, for instance, they wanted to try to teach me to not sound like a Philadelphian. I said, well, this is how I talk. And in many ways, I am just a creature of 10th and Reed, in South Philly, okay? My mom's from the north side. And what happens is you are who you grow up, where you grew up. Chicago's nice people. We're a little bit more, we're loving and hating, okay? We love and hate. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm regular because I grew up regular and I didn't forget. And a lot of guys forget. And it's really incredible when you hear them. Now, a guy who was on your show who did not forget is a guy named Sternlicht.
Yes.
Now, I felt Sternlicht was unbelievably good on your show because he's a multi-billionaire. I'm not. But I thought that he acted like a guy who was just kind of a regular guy. I saw him at the Eagles play. He was at the Eagles Super Bowl. That's an aspirational guy. You want to be a little Sternlicht-like. And I try to make people realize, look, I made a lot of mistakes. I'm not king of the mistakes because then all of a sudden on Twitter they say, hey, even he admits he's a jerk. But I try to be regular because it's who I am. And it's authentic, but I do self-denigrate, but I'm also quite pleased that I have great people in my life. I have a fabulous support team who, when I was down or anytime I'm down, really rally for me. I think we all need that. And I think that a lot of why I have people stick with me is because I stick with them. I really like loyalty.
What about the fact that, so you obviously got into TV, Mad Money's been wildly successful.
Thank you. 3,000 shows.
Incredible, 14 years.
That's amazing.
But you're not allowed to be in the market anymore.
No, but
you
that's
think it's
okay.
hard to sell to the people when you don't have skin in the game,
Well,
so to
I
speak?
do have a charitable trust, but I think that what happens is, let's say this morning, I said I really like Kohl's. I have a lot of Kohl's cash in my drawer. And the stock was up 3. And by the time I finished it, I said I like Kohl's. The stock was up 5.5. Well, let's say that I owned Kohl's for myself. Well, people would say, wait a second, he bought it at 73. He's going to sell it at 75 after the show. So then I would be a crook. And so I really want to protect the people and I want to protect myself. And I think people know that I'm getting up at 3:30 like today, doing stuff, trying to know what's going on. Hasbro reports today. Hasbro had a good quarter. And my goal is to try to help other people do well. I've been recommending Hasbro, recommending Kohl's. So what I do is very simpatico because people know I work really hard to try to make the money.
So, Jim, you live in the city.
Yeah, I live in Brooklyn, but I also live in Summit.
Walk us through one of your days, a regular Wednesday morning tonight.
Oh, man. Okay,
Yeah.
so my trainer will come tomorrow. He'll be there around 3:45. I let him sleep a little because he comes from an hour away, and it's important that he gets some sleep so he can train me. We will do, I'd say, 3 miles, meaning me, 3 miles on the treadmill. Then he'll stretch me a while, and then we'll lift, for a long time. Then he'll finish around 5:40. And then my driver will take me in at 6. I bang out a couple of pieces. I study what's going to be on at the 9 o'clock. My 9 o'clock show, Squawk on the Street. I meet with my team, my Action Alerts team. Then I meet with the team that is management the street. Then I meet with my CNBC colleagues at 8:45. They ask me some questions. I'm all mic'd on the floor. I finish at 10. I do then 20-minute videos for the street. Then I go over to CNBC and start the show. I have to write 7,000 words a day. Show starts at 4:05. Show finishes at 6, and we start the show we immediately start worrying about the next show.
That's a packed day.
Yeah, I like it packed.
Yeah.
I like it packed. And
Wow.
And I do. Last night I studied for a couple of hours. That meant I slacked off. My nephew, Cliff, writes the show with me. Only 2 writers. I have an unbelievable executive producer, Regina Gilgan. And we just are riveted by what we do. And rigor is everything for us. And that show better be good, or they should take us off the air.
Yeah, so I actually, when I was reading up about it, right after the show, you guys sit down and talk about the show?
I go over it with my nephew, Cliff, and he tends to really just say I did it. I said I was not going to curse on the show.
No, you can curse.
Please.
No, but I said,
Fuck.
half-assed.
Yeah.
Please.
Wow, that's
fuck.
Shit.
Wow. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all those about how I did, and that was really bad.
Like Jim Cramer doesn't curse.
well,
You probably sworn more than anyone in life.
I think I have, as a matter of fact. I think I'm in a top 10 swear.
Yeah,
I
I'd
think
say
I
so.
am. I think I can get there if I have to.
Our listeners love it. They love it.
Well, like I did a shit job, okay?
Yeah.
I said I wouldn't.
Fuck.
My wife is like, how you doing? But he said, look, how did I do tonight? It was a shit job.
Yeah.
And next day, it was a shit job.
So any feelings hurt ever then? Because that's a tough thing to do, to sit down and be like, hey, look, this wasn't good.
No ego about it because it's for the viewers. No ego. Now, there are some times where I come back and everyone says good show, and I know it was not a good show, and I will good show. I mean, come on, give me a
What
break.
makes a good show?
A good show is completely engaging, where there's no screw-ups in the production, and at the same time, there's pure spontaneity. Like, things get asked. I come through with some good stuff. I mean, one of our best shows recently was when I did a big mid. We like to do like monster mids and stuff. And I took a machete and I hit it, and the soda exploded all over a really nice Xenia suit. That's good TV.
Right.
That's TV and a half.
Right.
TV, it's a show and a half.
I loved your Barry Sternlet interview, by the way.
Barry was so great.
He was
Remember,
great.
Barry was the guy who. You know that he was the first guy who said the Federal Reserve was going all wrong, and I used that forever because Barry was saying things are getting too expensive, the business is slowing down. You have guys on who tell the truth, and it's remarkable. Dr. Oz, who I don't want open heart surgery, but if I had to,
Right. What's the balance, though? You're talking about people's money.
Okay.
You're talking about people's money, and you're giving people tips. What's the balance between entertainment and serious talk? Because the way I see it, like, I'm a big gambler,
Right.
And don't take this
I have
wrong
a
way,
clause
but
that says I can't gamble.
of course, but you are kind of like, how we do a show called Barstool Sports Advisors, where it's a
Which
lot
I love.
about, hamming it up and having fun, and probably a little less about the picks. You obviously are a lot about the picks and the information. So what's that balance like?
Well, look, I think if I don't entertain them, people won't watch because stocks can be inherently boring. So we have to work in a lot of jokes. We have to work in a lot of cultural references because at Google, you can work in Shakespeare for all you want. You can work in anything baseball. You can work in anything football. You have to. So I would say that obviously the entertainment is probably about 25% because we got to get people in. And one of the reasons why I think we've been successful is we recognize we have to entertain. It is a joy to entertain. You get a lot of callers. I mean, callers say, hey, Sunshine, yo, Bud. I pal people. Because that's what they got. Hey, ice cream here. I got ice cream here, vanilla and chocolate. Right. Oh, hey, one time they gave me strawberry. I had to run out. Every time hey, this is strawberry. Boom, right to the next second. Hey, you can't give me strawberry. Wait, this is strawberry. So, I mean, you do this kind of, it's like you have a bad stock of strawberry.
Right.
Right? It's like you run for it. But you have
I
to
like
own
strawberry ice cream.
I do too, but
Yeah.
people ask for vanilla.
Yeah, no,
chocolate.
people want vanilla
You can't
chocolate.
fake people
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It's like people used to get, you would sell them Schmitz, and everyone wanted Schlitz.
Right.
beer like Milwaukee famous.
Right.
Milwaukee looks like you could take it.
Milwaukee, Schlitz is
take it.
very good.
Jim,
Yeah.
who was? Did you think of a mentor that you had, and what lessons did you learn from that mentor?
It's my dad. My dad was all about honesty, rigor, toughness. My father always wanted me to be the toughest guy. He said, I know you're not the biggest guy, but be the toughest guy and be honest and forthright. And I love that because it's true north. You never go wrong.
What did he do for a living?
He sold boxes and bags to
Hardworking?
retailers. Oh, man, he had a big month in October when he died at 92 in November. Turns out he had a big month in October. I didn't know that, but the IRS came after me. He sold a lot of boxes, sold a lot of bags that month.
The month before he passed away.
He had a huge month.
He was working all.
He had
up
a big
until then?
October. I mean, like I was still, his accountant called me. He said, "How did you throw away the receipts?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "Pop had a big October." I said, "Pop died in November."
Right.
But he had a good,
Good Octobers are good in baseball too.
So yeah.
yes, he was Mr. October.
Yeah. So do you think you'll work to the day you die like he did?
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I sure hope so.
So there's no slowing down. No.
No, speed up.
Yeah.
Now it's time
I love
for
it.
fifth gear.
Yeah. I love
Everyone else in my high school class is retiring. This is the time to really go full throttle.
Right.
Right?
Who would you say out there are the 3 or 4 or 5, just the berries of the world that you just think are absolute rock stars in the investing space?
In investing space. Okay. So we're going to say there's a guy named Peter Lynch who ran Magellan. He was unbelievable. He taught all of us. And One Up on Wall Street is still the best single book ever.
What's it called?
One Up on Wall Street.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a pure joy book.
I'm ordering that
love
tonight.
it.
Yeah.
I like Byron Ween, he works at Blackstone, and he's got a tremendous view. He's another older gentleman. He's really, really good.
I know about him.
He's phenomenal. I like Dave Tepper, who owns the Panthers. Yeah. He was my boss at Goldman, and one time I came down, I wanted to sell some bonds for this company, Primark, which was an oven company, and there was about 1,000 people on the floor of Goldman Sachs on the bond floor, and I came down, I said, "Listen, Dave," he was the head of junk. I said, "Dave, I think I can sell these, get like a lot of points, a little vig if I sell these Primark bonds." And he goes, "Everybody listen up. I got a first-class jerk who wants to sell Primark bonds and hurt all his customers and make fools of them. What's your name?" I said, "Well, Jim Cramer." He goes, "I don't hear you." Jim Cramer says, "His name is Jim Cramer, and he is willing to gaff every single customer.
Wow.
And this guy's a disgrace. Get off my floor."
Yeah.
And I said, "Wow, is there any way to redeem myself?" He goes, "Never, get off my floor." So he owns the Panthers.
Yeah, Dave was one of the greatest investors ever.
Oh, he's fantastic.
And a great sense of humor.
The best.
Yeah.
I mean, years later, he said, "That was pretty funny, the thing with the bonds." I said, "Yeah, kind of funny."
Yeah, sucked for me.
Yeah, kind of like Jon Stewart
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. How was that, like looking back at the Jon Stewart thing, the Bear Stearns
Oh, it was
thing?
me at my best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look back, that was a home run appearance, Home run. Kind of a home run, except for I was playing football.
Right.
Yeah, you're not allowed to invest in the stock market
No.
at all?
No.
So what do you invest in, if you don't mind me asking?
My wife does real estate.
Yeah.
Do that. We have a lot of real estate. Real estate.
A lot of real estate.
A lot of real estate, bars,
Yeah.
restaurants.
Answer me this. So I don't play the stock
Longshoreman?
market. I don't know anything about the stock market. It's foreign language to me.
Okay.
I inherently, the cynic in me thinks it's rigged.
Look, I think that's a great question because I have a piece tonight that talks about a subtle rigging. I think it's rigged for Aircoin and crypto, but first, for Amazon stock first, offensive line is great. Little guy can't afford that.
Right.
And so to me, they should split the stocks and allow little guys in. That's why I say it's rigged toward the big guys because, when you have these stocks that are $1,000, Alphabet, Google, $1,200. Well, that just keeps out the little guy. They used to split these stocks so that the little guy could own stock. They have made it so it's too expensive per share. Now, what they'll say is, "Oh, give me a break. It doesn't matter. It's all the same company." But that is, to me, a way to keep the little guy out. Instead, they make him be in all these ETFs. They should own stocks and ETFs. Also, they used to be Franklin Delano Roosevelt said we shouldn't allow the short sellers to bang down stocks. We got rid of that too. So a lot of the smart guys bang down stocks. Now, you're allowed to short. I'm not against that. But these are things that make it so the little guy gets scared. Flash crash, little guy gets scared. December, the market goes bad, little guy gets scared. So they're just scared, and we need to protect them. And one of the things I try to do in Mad Money is protect the little guy, because the little guy can be a big guy if you don't drive them out. The little guy can go buy Amazon at $200 or buy Apple at 50. But no. I mean, they've made it so that the dollar amounts are so big that little guys will call me. I'll stop me on the street and say, I can't buy a tenth of a share. Now, they do have these little things where you can buy shares, but they're not right.
So don't even go to Berkshire Hathaway because that's...
Well, that's a great example. A-Rod, that's a great example. See, that stock was at $200 when I started at gold.
Wow.
And that was a reasonable. And then it goes to 100,000. Regular person can't buy 100,000. So I think it's rigged in the sense that big boys have an edge.
Hey, Kat, what do you invest in?
I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really invest in anything.
Just A-Rod Corp.
The A-Rod Corp.
Go public.
But I inherently think that it's, especially, obviously the crash happens in 2008 and then nothing changes. And
isn't that wrong?
And everyone stays in power, and all the rich people keep making
investigation.
money.
No investigation of what happened. Now, when they had the crash of '87, there was a big Treasury investigation, and we found exactly who were the bad guys. No investigation. The government plays no role. The exchanges are absent. This must stop. The government must get involved to protect people.
And Milken was one of the few that got in trouble.
I know, and he's
took
actually
the fall for a lot of people.
He's done a lot of good since then.
Incredible with cancer,
with
over $100
prostate
million.
Cancer,
Yes, Major League Baseball
made it back.
All the way back.
To me, he has redeemed himself, and he's a good man.
In a
We
big
need
way.
the government to be involved to protect the little.
So how do people, our listeners, who are probably more like me than they are like A-Rod, and I mean that in terms of our pocketbooks.
Cheap shot.
Well,
No, that's more money.
Don't worry, we'll be okay with the CVS. We're okay with the CVS.
How does someone who's like me or younger than me, a millennial, be like, hey, look, I want to play the stock market. I have no fucking idea what to do, and guess what? I think it's rigged.
Well, okay, so long term, it's not rigged. So what you do is you buy. Look, when I lived in my car, which was not exactly a great time, although it was a chick magnet thing. Hey, well, your place or mine.
We'll put it in the laugh track.
Lisa's not laughing.
We'll put it in the
Women
laugh
not
track.
crazy about
Yeah,
that.
no, we got
Women
you.
not
We got
crazy
you.
about it. Some of these things are
Post-edited.
bad.
Yeah.
Some of these things I really don't mean at all. But you buy shares in an index fund. You buy the shares in an index fund, and then over time that really does work. And it's been great for me, been great for my kids. Even when I was living in my car, I put $100 away each month. Living in my car was a detriment to a lot of things I like, but I was poor and been robbed and everything, but I still had money to invest. And so you take a longer term view, yes. Short term, it does feel very rigged.
Right, and I do think that's an important thing in putting away money every month, because I think that's something that probably my generation does not do.
And that's what they have to do, and I know that it seems like a boring thing, but if you put it away every month, it does compound, because like you take a stock like Pepsi, they keep paying dividend, paying dividend. They've doubled their dividend in 10 years. That's a great stock to own. After you've done your index fund, maybe you buy 100 shares of Pepsi. I mean, that kind of thing. I've got a lot of stocks that I recommend. And I feel very strongly that investing is for everybody. But people have to recognize that if they don't have the time or inclination, they should do index funds.
Yeah.
So Jim, a little rapid fire, because
Sure.
I think
The lightning round.
Yeah, a little lightning.
Money.
And it doesn't have to be one word. It can be just a short sentence
Sure.
on some of these CEOs. Warren Buffett,
Best in show.
Jamie Dimon,
Unbelievable.
Ray Dalio,
Really smart.
Dan Loeb,
Clever.
Ken Griffin,
Rich.
Jeff Bezos,
Brilliant.
Elon Musk.
Weirdo.
P.T.
Oh,
Barnum.
sorry.
P.T. Barnum.
Oh,
Hot.
I like
yeah,
that.
P.T. Barnum.
And last one, Mark Zuckerberg.
Nefarious.
Ooh.
Yeah, because he'd sell you. He'd sell your name. He'd sell anything.
Right.
Right? I mean, he's probably sold me while I'm talking.
Right.
Sell you to the Russians.
true.
Probably sold you to the Chi-Coms.
What is the vesting in a company that you might not morally agree with
I
what
won't
they do?
it. I mean, for instance, I won't let people. I always say, if you call me about Philip Morris, Altria, I say no.
Right.
They're like, life's too short.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just not going to recommend those guys. I mean, Cole. I mean, no, thank you. I got enough trouble.
So if you're a young listener and
Of which you have many, and everyone in my staff, by the way, I hi to my staff because my staff never misses you guys.
Love it. Love
thank you. But let's just say Jim. Let's say if Jim had $1 million, explain to me how you would diversify that across the board.
Okay, so
if you could invest in stocks,
if you can invest in stocks.
yes, if you could invest, and also
Okay.
this late in the cycle.
Okay, well, what I would do, It depends on your age.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in your 50s and 60s, you want 80% in the stock market
you're
index fund.
25.
25. Oh my!
Yeah,
You want to be as aggressive as possible. You want to be in an index. You want to be in a total aggressive. They call them aggressive funds. So you be an aggressive fund. You got your whole life to make it back, and then you got to pick 5 stocks. And the 5 stocks have to be things that you use. I mean, maybe you use Amazon. Maybe you Google everything. Maybe you use Verizon. Your Verizon bill's big, or your cable's bill's big. Try to pick something maybe that is incredibly a biotech that is trying to cure cancer. That would be a terrific one to be involved in. And then, maybe something that just has a good dividend. So you have a little bit extra income come in. Do a Dow Chemical.
Would you buy any puts to?
I don't encourage puts because I encourage people to raise cash.
So puts for our listeners is basically an insurance that you buy on your portfolio.
Right. I mean, for a really sharp person who can be there every day, yes, I recommend puts. But otherwise, I say raise cash. And but I really want people to think long term. A person who's 25, unbelievable opportunity to invest in these companies that are just beginning, that are so, a company like Shopify.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, Etsy, Brooklyn's own Etsy, unbelievable. You can buy these companies, you can put them away, and they're incredible. And so that's what Costco. Costco, what a bargain. Home Depot.
Why a bargain? How many times is it trading EBITDA?
Well, 28 times earnings. But it's just they make it on the card.
Got it.
Yeah, I am to be. My wife's executive. I just have the white card. But that's okay. Families disagree on things.
Right. All right. Last question I have for you.
Come on.
I would love to go forever.
And I
You've
have
got
one
other
more.
things you have to do. I want to give you, though, an opportunity. Biggest professional mistake you've made. To maybe let people say, whether it be the Bear Stearns, Jon Stewart, or Lenny Dykstra.
Lenny was very interesting. His actual numbers were quite good, but the guy who kept the numbers passed away.
Yeah, he made them up too. Right?
For Bear Stearns, I said that you could keep your money in. I meant that the account was safe, but it didn't matter. It got distorted, but that's life.
But I want everyone to know, because I think this is being honest is obviously helps you a lot.
About the Jon Stewart situation.
Yeah.
Because here's what I did. I took a beat down. I think we have beat downs in life. And my takeaway from the beat down was, the next morning I got up, I showered, I shaved, I put my pants on, put my shirt on, I put my tie on, I put my jacket on, and I went to work. So I say, when you get that beat down, and we all suffer beat downs, I got a real idea for you. Just do the same thing you always do the next day. Hold your head high. Mm-hmm. Hold your head high. So take the beat down, because we're all going to get the beat down. Sometimes we don't want to give the beat down.
Yeah.
You got to come back, and you got to forget about it and move on. And there's people always going to remind you, and your kids are going to remind you, and it doesn't matter. You just keep going. Never look back, Satchel Paige. Never look back. And that's the lesson of the beat down.
I like
which
that.
we might take.
Yeah.
And you know what? Did I like the beat down? Absolutely not. Was I mortified? Yes. Did I come back the next day the same way I always do? Absolutely.
Have you watched the tape?
Nah, don't need to do that.
Don't look back.
Need to do that.
Don't look back.
Don't need
it's
to
a
do
great
that.
lesson, though, because everyone gets, kicked down, the shit kicked out of them once in a while, and
Look,
how
I'm
you
glad you brought
respond.
it up, because a lot of people don't want to bring it up, and I'm happy to bring it up because of the lesson that I want to teach people, which is that if you can get humiliated on national TV by watching millions of people, and then the next morning you go do your job, that's the revenge.
Right.
Okay, that's your revenge. And then I go do another 2,000 shows. That's the revenge. And I will do another 1,000 shows. So I don't care.
I have a lot of experience.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Really.
Right.
with me.
But the answer still is Lenny Dykstra, right?
Lenny was a tough one because Lenny had to do. He had other sources of things that were wrong.
Yes.
But a great player.
The Twizzlers should have been a tip-off.
Played for
for the Mets. And
Chewing the
Phillies.
Twizzlers
Played for
all
the
the time.
Phillies.
Yeah.
He was great.
I grew
But,
up 86
Nails.
Mets. That was
yes. But I have a Sam Girard attitude. Just when in The Fugitive, I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
Last one for me, and Kat, you can close it after this.
Yeah.
We buy, sell. I got a fee for you. Buy, sell. Sure. Really quickly. Facebook,
Buy.
Amazon,
Buy.
Netflix,
Buy.
Google,
Buy.
Berkshire,
Buy.
JP Morgan,
Buy.
Bank of America,
Hold.
Apple.
Buy.
Last one for me. You're 25 years old. Should you buy a house, buy an apartment, or rent?
Right now you have to rent. It's going too high.
There you go.
There's too few houses. Let them build more houses and it'll come down.
Okay.
All right, last one, A-Rod Corp.
bye.
You got it.
All right, I'm still waiting for my payoff.
Will my wife
dividend.
still talk to me after my candor?
It's vesting.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
vesting.
yeah. I thought you did a great job, Jim
Really?
Cramer, thank
I
you
love
so
this
much.
show. Thank you for talking about the
fantastic.
real stuff.
Yes.
Right? The real stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate it.
and congrats with all your great work.
Yes.
And thank you, Lisa. Awesome. Oh,
That was great.
That's gonna
That
be
was great.
amazing.